Hello, everybody, and this is Sydney. Welcome to my reading log. I'm recording this in July of 2025. It is for the month of June 2025. So I'm going to be starting off with some publishers I have less stuff from. First of all, Tokyo Pop. I only had one book that I read from them this month, and that is The Prince is in the Villainess's Way. And I did enjoy this. I like the premise. It's very weird with being reincarnated as you existed as this one person, but you're reincarnated as somebody else who lives in the same universe as that one person and ends up trying to influence another person's life. It's odd. This volume focused a lot on the poisoning plot and an assassination plot, and it seems like that got wrapped up very well. And there was a lot of political intrigue with it, but it was a good read. It was titillating. That word probably doesn't have the context I mean for it to have. It was a good read, though. I do enjoy the series. I think it is one of those series where, unfortunately, some of the anatomy can get a little bit off. Like, I think the art is beautiful, but proportions of the way the eyes are on the face, the way the mouth and face line up with the outside of the face, just kind of get a little messy sometimes. But it's a good read. I enjoy it. Then we got Tales of the Tendo Family, Volume 6. This volume, we are continuing the arc of Ron having ran away from the Tendo Mansion after the crazy shit that happened at the garden party. And it seems like we are wrapping up that arc with seemingly her returning to be with Masato. I do still really enjoy the series. It's very soap opera drama heavy. It does remind me a bit of in Fruits Basket, like the later half, when there was a lot of family drama going on and there were a lot of different people all scheming different things. It's good so far. That was a One Piece book. Let's see. I think next I'll go for the Square Enix because I only had one release from Square Enix as far as I can tell, which was On and Off Work-Life Imbalance Volume 1. And this is by Shinosuke Kanazawa. This is a very cute series about a office lady who is very strict, very harsh in the office, doesn't like to make a lot of friends, and an office boy. I don't know what the term would be for a man who works at the office, like just a male office worker who's I think he's shy and reserved. I can't remember exactly his quirks, but she, outside of her work, decides to cross-dress as I think the word is, it might be scene, I'm not sure, but very goth emo style boy. And then the guy decides to cross-dress as a Lolita fashion girl. And the two of them end up bumping into each other while they're in their alternative personas and seemingly hit it off and seem to get along well. I don't know if it's going to go for a romance route, if it's going to go for them being close friends, but it was enjoyable, even if it is very short and a very fast read. The art is very, very good, though. Let's see. And then the other Square Enix I have is the Otaku Love Connection Volume 2. We actually introduce a couple new strings of otaku in this volume. We have a BL superfan and a Yuri superfan, who are both seemingly will they, won't they, maybe they'll date, maybe they won't date. It's just stupid fun. That's really all this series is. But if you're into shipping subculture or just really cringy, laughs at its own self writing, you'd probably enjoy this series. I think it's a good series so far, and I enjoy it whenever I read it, even if it is a slower release. Let's do Yin Press next. Got one of the smaller volumes and a few of the larger ones. We have Dark History of the Reincarnated Villainess, Volume 12. We are going really far down the main character acting as a villainess this volume, and we have a lot of backstory happening as well. I thought backstories were usually black pages, but I can't remember exactly. And that backstory kind of explains why I think Soul hated the villainess at the very beginning of the series. And she's trying to I believe she's trying to have him be against her because she doesn't want anybody else to die, because she's trying to go against the grain of the initial plot. So that whole thing is still going on. I enjoy it. Still mixed on it personally. Then we've got The Villainess Turns the Hourglass, Volume 7. It definitely feels like we're coming to an end for this volume because we've got a big denouement that happened in the last volume, I believe. And then a lot more scheming and something big happening in this volume as well. But it seems like we might be getting close to the villainess getting an ending. So excited for that. Happy for her. Then we've got If the Villainess and Villain Met and Fell in Love, Volume 3. This volume focuses a lot on the spirit magic that happens alongside this competition festival sort of thing. I don't remember what specifically else happens. Oh yes, there were some false accusations, as there always are in villainesses, and the relationship kind of continues to grow. But the main focus is the competition and the effects it has on the characters. Good series. I enjoy it. Then we've got Volume 2 of Takahashi from the Bike Shop, and this was a real cute read. I still love the dynamic of the seeming like he seems like he would be an asshole, he seems like he'd be a delinquent, but he's just kind of a normal guy who just has a scary face. And the relationship between him and this office lady is very cute. I do wonder what his age is, though, because I'm assuming he's in his 20s, and I'm hoping he's not a high schooler. Because I think they say he's like in the working world, but you really can never tell with manga. Sometimes teenagers look like adults, sometimes adults look like children. It's weird, but I think the series is really good, and the art for the spine and the cover in general is very pretty as well. Then we've got Kill the Villainess, Volume 2. I believe my biggest problem with the previous volume was the art, and I think the art's improved in this volume a decent amount. That being said, I cannot remember specifically too many details about the plot for this volume, so I'm just kind of flipping through it off screen to look into what exactly happens. I think it's still just in the very beginning of the series, so we're trying to get like our footing with what this plot's going to be, because she does want to die so she can return to her own world, but she spoke with somebody who basically said that that's something she can't do, so I believe now she's trying to, I don't know, she's trying to find an escape by gathering people around her who can help her figure it out, but I really don't remember too many of the specific details on this one. I still enjoy it, though. Then we've got Volume 9 of A Business Proposal, and the next one's going to be the last one here. And we do have another like minor love story happening in this volume with a couple of the side characters, which was cute, enjoyable. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the focus of this volume. Like, the last one was pretty much concluding the main two characters' story, and they still play a part in this volume, but it's more focused on this other side story. But we're going to be ending the next volume, so I imagine everything is going to be wrapping up soon. And lastly, for Yen Press, I read, quote-unquote read, Daydream Hour, which is Doodles by Ryoko Kui, the creator of Delicious and Dungeon. I say quote-unquote read because it's not like manga with like stories in it usually. It has mostly pictures, and then it has some comics, some little short tidbits of dialogue. It was a very good read. I like this sort of format for an art book where it's not just the art, it's art and also like a lot of comics that weren't published elsewhere and like little comedic moments in there. I think it's a really good way to keep the art book format fresh, because personally I don't get a lot out of art books anymore, because I tend to, if I want to read a manga, I want to read it for the story and appreciate the art. I don't want to just look at art. That's just my own biased perspective, though. I think next I'm going to go over Seven Seas, starting with It Takes More Than a Pretty Face to Fall in Love, Volume 2. We have romantic development starting to pick up in this volume. They go to a festival, and they both do seem hesitant about potentially getting together. And they're still figuring out their feelings, you know, the typical stuff for the beginning of a shoujo romance series. I do still think it's a really good series. It's very cute, and I like the art style. Then we've got I'm in Love with the Villainess, Volume 8. This volume actually deals with issues that could potentially have an analog to transgender issues in real life, where it's a character who was born as a Yes, born as a girl, but was cursed with magic to be a boy who wants to return to being a girl. So it's focusing a lot on that plot. And that's kind of like the main gist for this volume is focusing on, I think Riche is the name. Oh no, Riche is the queen. They don't actually say Yu. The child's name is Yu, so it's a lot of focus on Yu's plight with this and Rei and Misha's. Rei and Misha. Oh, yeah, because Misha's her friend. Villainess, I don't think does much in this volume. I guess Claire is here as well, but they're trying to figure out her situation and also having their own issues happen in the volume. Again, it's a great villainess series. It's got a lot of really in-depth writing and tackles a lot of queer issues that I think is really cool for Japanese manga to do. I don't see a lot of queer issues tackled in mainstream manga that aren't BL or GL. I mean, I guess this is... I don't know if this is considered GL or if it's just considered shoujo, josei. I'd have to look at the categorizations. Then we've got Crossplay Love, Otaku X Punk, Volume 12. We have just, let's see. Trust Nakamura. I really don't remember the name specifically. Yeah, we have somebody else confessing their feelings to the main male lead that's cross-dressing as the girl, and some issues that happen with that. We're kind of inching more and more towards like the main couple potentially getting together, but I don't know how long they're going to play this out for. I enjoy the series. I do just wish progress was a little bit faster with the main couple. Next, we've got Blood Night Market Volume 2. This, I think, was a bit more enjoyable than the first volume. I'm still not in love with it. It focused a lot on the dynamic of the main two characters and this weird blood transformation that the main vampire went through. There was a lot of fighting. Some more characters introduced, some more depth established with the relationship, which I still don't know if it's going to end up being a romantic or platonic relationship, because it's not BL, even though it's by a author who does a lot of BL. But I enjoyed a little more in the second volume. We'll see how I feel with the final one after this. Then we've got The 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You, Volume 14. This is going to be part of a 3 manga spread, with this being the left, the next one being the center, and the final one being on the right side. And I believe we have one new girlfriend of this volume. Let's see. Yes. We have the girlfriend who is obsessed with violence and likes to find violence in everything that exists, which is silly and fun. There's a whole lot of a long zombie fight in this volume. And we also have the girlfriend who loves America having to potentially convince somebody that she needs to stay with her mannerisms and she doesn't have to change to be less American for her students to understand her. It's still a great series, in my opinion. All right, now for the oversized 7 Cs, we have Though I Am an Inept Villain, S-Tail, The Butterfly Rat, Body Swap, and The Maiden Court, Volume 7. We have the Village arc seemingly ending soon here. Potentially. This one's also one I read a little earlier in the month, so I don't have specifically too much memory on what exactly happened. Yes, we had some more of the inner court drama alongside this. It kind of ties into the abandonment of that specific village, and I believe... I'm trying to be careful because I think there's another series that I'm reading that has a similar plot point at the moment. Yeah, because Eccentric Doctor also has a village that was kind of abandoned to a sickness. But in both of them, it seems to be like a politically motivated thing for them to not help that village. But I enjoy the series, and I'm looking forward to the anime that eventually comes out for it, because I believe that got announced. Then we've got My Stepmother and Stepsisters Aren't Wicked Volume 5. This was a long time waiting for me. We ordered it a few months back, and it finally arrived. We have the class president thing, this volume. A lot of this is focusing on their time at school as opposed to their time at home. So it's introducing a lot of these new classmates and how they interact with the main characters. It's enjoyable. I think it's pretty good so far. It's not anything mind-blowing, but I enjoy it decently well. Next, we've got a sequel to I Didn't Mean to Fall in Love, which was the work that got me into Mintetsu Zamaru, and this is I Didn't Mean to Fall in Love Double. This is focusing on one of the male leads forming a not romantic relationship, but a relationship where he's trying to take care of one of his coworkers who was being sexually abused by a straight man who was basically stringing him along, trying to say like, oh yeah, I love you, and then once he got what he wanted, saying, oh, I don't really, I'm straight, I don't have that sort of feeling for you, maybe if you were a girl. So he's kind of trying to be an emotional anchor for him, but then we potentially have some jealousy forming out of that, because obviously if your partner's spending a lot of time with somebody else who is of the same proclivity as you are, and you and your partner are, then some jealousy is natural to surface. So we have that happening in this volume, and it's mostly focused on the character developments, not a lot on the smut, but I still really enjoy the duology, unless there's another one eventually. Now, for a more controversial one, we have King the Land Volume 2. I said previously I really liked the first volume, not so much for the second volume. Spoon's art is still amazing. The story was bad. Like, the whole premise of trying to adapt a longer running drama series into like a 2-volume, like semi-prequel, running at the same time manga or manhwa just didn't work. There was a lot of things that were rushed through. I was so confused with a lot of the developments that happened in this volume, but the art is still fantastic, and I'm still buying anything Spoon draws, because I really love Spoon's art style ever since Who Made Me a Princess. So now I've got everything that Spoon's published in English, unless there's something that comes out at a later point. I really don't know, because I don't know how successful Who Made Me a Princess and King the Land were. Now let me reorganize things a little bit here so I can have things more properly sequenced. All right. So next I'm going to be doing Kodansha, and I'm going to be starting with the smaller ones with Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun, Volume 14. We have the beginning of the portion of the festival where Iruma's trying to get the legendary leaf to essentially just get an automatic win in the Harvest Festival. We have a lot of character development for Iruma as he's having to go through this kind of alone after he finds the way to get to the legendary leaf. The festival arc's a really fun arc in Iruma-kun, so I enjoyed a lot. We've got the final volume of Origin, Volume 10. There's a lot of things that happen in this volume to conclude the series. A lot of really interesting developments. I can see why some people might think that it was kind of a shoehorn solution into fixing, into the main character being able to succeed in his endeavors, keeping it vague. I think it was decently okay for a hard sci-fi to pull things in that sort of direction, but I would definitely recommend this to anybody who enjoyed Dr. Stone or any of Boichi's other works. Next, we've got Go-Go Loser Ranger, Volume 13. We're still continuing on the massive all-out brawl between the monsters, the Rangers, the Monster Preservation Society. Yeah, there's not really anything specifically I can talk about in this volume. I don't have a lot of memory. Oh yeah, we do actually have a decent backstory on one of the main girls in this series, who her father and her mother really are. And it was a really interesting story to tell about monsters and how they were perceived by humans and how they perceive humans. And it was happening near the end of the volume. I think it was a really good twist in the series so far, so I really enjoyed that. Next, we've got A Condition Called Love, Volume 13. Let's see if there's anything else that happens in this volume specifically. So we have more attempts to get the relationship to go to a more intimate route. And let's see. Yes. And then we also have her Hotaru's sister actually going through romantic developments of her own and having to deal with the difficulties of starting in the working world as a woman in Japan, because there's rampant misogyny and mistreatment of women in Japan, just like there is here, just like in a lot of places in the world. So she's struggling a lot with people trying to coerce her into doing things she doesn't want to do or trying to get her drunk to take advantage of her. It's a bit of a harder read, but it does help with the dynamic between her and Hotaru, kind of establishing an interesting relationship between the two, because the older sister was always looked at as the perfect sister, and she wants to be a role model for Hotaru to look up to. Next, we have Wistoria, Wand and Sword, Volume 9. So we have Will reattempting to join the Bloom, and we also have I think one other person who's trying to join a specific faction in the Bloom. Trying to be a bit vague on that. But he's having to work with Will for it, and they're both having to improve themselves in certain ways in order to be able to be perceived as worthy of truly being able to proceed in where they are. Trying to be a bit vague on that because where they are is a bit of a spoiler for the last couple volumes. But I really enjoy Wistoria so far. Then we've got Wand Dance Volume 12. This is concluding a competition in this volume. And we also have our main two characters, Wanda and Kabu. Wanda and Kabu starting to figure out a style for them to do a performance together. And they're introducing a lot of dance styles, including some of the ones from ballroom culture like Vogue, which was interesting to see because I don't really see Vogue talked about a lot in non-queer media. But I do enjoy Wand Dance, and I think I saw it's getting an anime adaptation at some point, and I really look forward to seeing how well they adapt the dancing. Next, we've got The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, Volume 7. So we do officially have the relationship establishing between the two characters in this volume, and now we're having to navigate the routes of their friendships now that they're both in a relationship together. We also have the main character starting to really like making cakes, so he's really taken after his father, which is real fun. Fragrant Flower is a great seinen romance. Next, we've got Vinland Saga, Volume 7. I am probably moving the table too much, but oh well. In this volume, we are focusing on basically, gosh, I don't remember the main character's name. Thorfinn? I think it's Thorfinn. It's either him or his father, basically having to face up to the people he's been associated with in his past, and all of that coming back to haunt him, which has happened in the previous volume as well, and it's really happening a lot in this volume. I believe we got that coming to a close at the end of this volume. I don't believe there was any cliffhangers or anything. If it didn't come to a close, it seems like it's close for Thorfinn being able to get away from all of the things that were haunting him in his past, or we might be reaching a new conclusion with the next volume. I do know that this series officially ended very recently, so I think it is going to be 10 of these omnibuses, so we only have 3 more. I'm really not sure how they're going to complete their final goal in this amount of volumes left, unless they really just wrap up this current arc very quickly. But Vinland Saga is a fantastic series. I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's into historical fiction. Yukimura does a lot of really good research in his works. I very much enjoyed Planetes. Even though it was a hard sci-fi and it was a lot different, it was also very detailed and had very good character writing. Let me scooch that out of frame real quickly. Next, we've got the only Last Gasp release for this month by Keiichi Koike, Ultra Heaven, Volume 1. This is basically focusing on a future where you can take drugs to essentially completely change your mood, go through new experiences. There's people who get addicted to these drugs, and the main character is somebody who's addicted to Peter Pan and ends up trying a different drug and then wants to see himself going down a different route with the drugs. I believe it got canceled after 3 volumes, but it's an interesting read. I think I would recommend it to anybody into this sort of psychological horror, trippy sort of read. You can see the art on the front, but see if I can find a decent page for the art here. That might be a little too explicit. Let's see. I'm trying to find like a page that's good without spoiling anything major. Like, you can see a lot of the detail on these pages here. Koike has a very nice style. Next, I'm going to be getting to the Vizes, and I'm going to go reverse from what I normally do and start with the oversized Viz instead of the normal size Viz. We're going to be starting with Magalumier Volume 8. We concluded the festival in this volume, and we have what actually happens on this volume after the festival. I don't. Oh yeah, they do have. Yes, there's a conspiracy that's happening in this volume where another company is trying to essentially prove that Magalumier and these other magical girl companies need to change and need to have these improvements that would essentially benefit them. They're trying to start this conspiracy and trying to make everybody think that way. Magalumier is a great series, though. I would definitely recommend it to anybody who's interested in magical girls. It takes a more business-oriented approach to it, but all the characters are very lovely and fun. Next, we've got Hirayasumi Volume 5. Let's see. Oh yeah, we do have a lot of relationship issues with the main character and his close childhood friend, who is having his own relationship issues with his wife and trying to figure out what he's doing, where he is, what he can do differently. There's a lot of real good human moments in this volume, and I really did enjoy it. Next, we've got Full Night Volume 4. Now, I'm going to have to be careful with this one because I did actually read Volume 5 very recently because something weird happened with Volume 4 not coming out until, or not being able to be bought by me until very soon to Volume 5 coming out. So let me make sure. Oh, yes. Okay, so we're investigating Ivy's origins. We're investigating this place called Pauper Town, and there's a lot of explanations of the lore as to the effects of this planification process on people who are poor and who are trying to find somewhere to live, people whose families are struggling, people who have to make difficult choices. They're having to live in this very poor town that essentially, in order to, if they want to plantify, all of their money is going to go back into the town because they have to keep everybody else alive because everybody else there is struggling and poor. It's a hard time to go through, and it really does show a lot of the issues with the plantification procedure and how the money is not being used in the ways it should be used. It's not plantification, it's something else, but I don't remember the name of it, so we're saying plantification. Next, we've got Dagsfred Volume 2. We have the main character going through a very long training arc in this volume. He's going through a training montage in this volume, learning the different ways that they're training at this more remote school, as opposed to a more modern sports medicine approach to training. We have some implications for him having a good future in the team. And at the very beginning of the volume, we also have a match with the high schools, where it's one of them's going for their 30th time in a row of winning the championships. And, that happens. I don't want to say what happens during the game because that's kind of something you want to read and find out for yourself. But Dagsfred is very fun so far. Next, we've got Cosmos Volume 1. And I believe this is Ryohei Tamura's... Oh, no, it's not his debut work in English because I think we had some of one of his earlier works translated, but we haven't had a Tamura work in a while. I wanted Hardboiled Cop and Dolphin, but we never ended up getting it. So here is Cosmos Volume 1. It is a series about an alien insurance company who is essentially trying to insure people who are on Earth and prevent them from causing damage or having too much damage caused to them while they're on Earth. And we have the main character who joins this insurance company. Well, potentially might join this insurance company because, let's see why. Okay, yes. He does have the ability to separate lies from the truth with the way, I think it's the way people say things. It's kind of, I wasn't sure if I was getting that confused with the detective series I was reading for a while that also had a character who could tell lies from truth by the way somebody's speaking. But yes, it was a very good read. A lot of really good emotional moments and character development in this volume. I think Tamura is a great artist and a great author. Next, we've got Chojin X Volume 9. And we are finishing the arc of trying to find the poppy fields, and we are beginning... Seemingly, we should be beginning the fight with Hand Lady. I don't remember her name soon. We also have a lot of backstory for why she became corrupted in the way that she is. And we have the main characters kind of going in a kind of internal conflict about if they're on the right side, if they're doing the right thing. I did really enjoy this volume. Next, we've got the final volume of Rainbow Days, Volume 16. Nothing too special happening in this volume. They go on a graduation trip. After they finally graduated, we get to see like what they're doing after graduation. You know, pretty typical stuff for a final volume of a slice of life series. It was okay. Overall, Rainbow Days really just wasn't my cup of tea, I think. I liked it a lot at the beginning, and then my like for it really lowered after a while, and then it kind of petered off to like an average series for me personally. Next, we've got Rainbows After Storms, Volume 4. We have some interesting developments with the black-haired girl. Let's see what her name is. Yes, Chidori, who had this girl in her class that was essentially, in her perspective, just playing with her feelings, pulling her around, making her feel like she loved her and she wanted to be with her, but she was saying something different and causing a lot of turmoil in her romantic life. So we had that kind of exposed as a backstory, and we got to see how that character is like now and how Chidori and Nanami deal with it. Nanoha, not Nanami. I still really like Rainbows After Storms. It's a great GL series. And speaking of Rainbows After Storms, we've got Komi Can't Communicate 34 with the husband of Luca Kobachi, Tomihito Oda. We have, I think they're doing, yes, Culture Festival again this volume. No, what is yes, we do have the ramen stall in this volume. We've got I think we've got one or two new characters that are introduced. Specifically about the ramen fixation on like being very, very, very dedicated to making sure everything's perfect with it. I don't think that's a new character. I think that's the guy with the pacifier. I don't know, they look kind of similar, but yeah. Komi is a great series, and I'm sad that it's ending in, I think, 4 volumes or so. Speaking of ending soon, we've got My Hero Academia, Volume 41. I did somewhat enjoy this volume. There was a lot of the final fights happening here, a lot of everybody working together. Pretty typical stuff for this sort of battle shonen. I think I enjoyed it decently well, though. I'm not showing any pages from it considering how late in the series it is, but it was okay. Next, we've got Mission Yozakura Family, Volume 17. Continuing the trend with him wearing less and less clothes on these covers, even having his underwear peeking out. It's wild. Yes, so we've got some brainwashing of a couple of the members of the family happening in this volume, where they're essentially being they're being brainwashed and going with the antagonist right now to be with them. And we have the main characters trying to figure out a way to get them back. It was an enjoyable volume. This arc is very cool so far, and the antagonist is well written and really works well with the dynamics of the family. Next, we've got Marriage Talks in Volume 7. We've got the closest we've been to him finally being like, okay, I found this person I want to be with, but not quite in this volume. But we did finish off... Oh, no, I'm thinking of the last volume. This volume was mostly about protecting a couple people who... Like, he wants to go on a date with this woman, but she is trying to protect somebody, and he ends up helping, and they end up protecting the girl together. There's a lot of fights in this volume. Very dynamic, fun. I believe it's the Wind family they're going against in this volume. We do finish off his fight with his cousin as well at the very beginning. Next, we've got Dawn to Dawn, Volume 13. I almost said 12. And we finish off the Mola's past in this volume, I believe. And then after we finish off the past, we get right back into like a lot of action in this volume. It seems like we're going to be ending this massive fight soon. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen when it ends, but I'm looking forward to it. Next, we've got Bordeaux 2 Blue Vortex Volume 2. We've got more characters kind of coming to the realization that potentially their memories might have been overwritten due to the Osatsuki's special ability. And we have Boruto also trying to play more of a role in protecting the village in this volume. It's a bit hard to explain Boruto 2 Blue Vortex without spoiling Boruto, so I'm being a little vague on it, as I usually am. I think Boruto 2 Blue Vortex is a great read, though. Well, Boruto in general is, but 2 Blue Vortex is a good sequel. Lastly, we have Akane Banashi Volume 12. This volume we have Akane trying to get her Futatsume recommendation to be promoted. She has to get recommended by, I believe, certain heads of the specific Rakugo families. And a lot of this volume is focusing on that, focusing on the story she's telling at the very beginning about the Tanuki Dai, which was something I didn't even realize started as a Rakugo story, but it was a really cool story to read about, and I still really do enjoy Akane Banashi. But with that in mind, that was everything I read this month, and I will talk to everybody next month with my haul for, technically, for July of 2025, but it's going to be filmed in August, so it's going to be the August haul, even though that stuff is really weird to phrase properly. But thank y'all everybody for watching. Let me know anything y'all want to hear about below. Any comments are really appreciated, and any feedback is great. So thank you so much, and y'all have a good one.